Well, the parent company of this station and many of Canada's big city newspapers faced a bank-imposed deadline today to either renegotiate about $100 million in debt, pay it, or possibly move into bankruptcy protection. There has been no statement from CanWest. If the company has defaulted on the loan agreements, it's not uncommon in business, and typically it's up to the banks to decide what happens next. Well, CanWest is carrying significant debt, but it is far from the only media company facing severe financial challenges.
For years, newspapers have seen their circulation declining. But what's happened in the past few months is faster than anyone predicted. 2009 is already the year of bankruptcies. Since January, more than 5 century-old newspapers in the U.S. have failed, including the Philadelphia Inquirer, Chicago Tribune, LA Times, Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. All share one thing in common. They were bought recently by companies who paid for them with big debt. Chris Waddell has had senior positions in Canada's leading newspaper and television newsrooms and is now a professor at Carleton University.
They're in some respects just like the people who borrowed money to buy houses they couldn't afford. They could live in them providing you assumed that the good times were going to go on forever, but they didn't really have enough of an insurance policy if the good times didn't go on forever.
Canada's media has consolidated over 40 years into large companies, some carrying more debt than others. But every one of them has also simultaneously been hit by an unprecedented collapse in advertising. Auto companies, housing, retail, all have shrunk their ad buys, which in turn is squeezing the media companies who are now cutting costs and jobs. So is this the beginning of the end of news as you know it?
It's wrong to assume because the current business model doesn't work anymore that the whole business is doomed to failure.
There were 7 passengers and 2 pilots killed.
Here's a new kind of newsroom. DigitalJournal.com is based in Toronto. A few trained editors shape the contributions of hundreds of citizen reporters feeding images and dispatches from 140 countries. What started as a technical magazine morphed 3 years ago into an online clearinghouse for news, and it's making a little money.
All of our digital journalists around the world receive payment for all of the news stories that they submit.
It's also worth noting that not all old-school news is hurting. Niche news still seems to have a more secure future.
Business broadcasting, business media is going to, I think, continue to be very profitable. It's niche, meaning not the whole population watches or reads business media, but the people that do are very affluent and highly educated, and that attracts advertisers.
No Canadian newspaper or media company is in bankruptcy yet, but 33 newspapers are in the United States. And today, a newspaper that started publishing 150 years ago printed its final edition. Tonight, the Rocky Mountain newsroom is empty, and Denver has lost its oldest daily newspaper. It didn't turn a profit this year, so its large parent company shut it down after putting it up for sale for only 4 weeks. Its final front page made to look like its first.